The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.
You know, as a Red Bull lover myself, there's something just absolutely beautiful about seeing the Red Bull ring come out and about to play here in the Red Sox Racing League. This is a track that I know and love. I've put in way, and I'm going to say it one more time for just the emphasis, way too many laps into this track on various Formula One games, on various racing sims. And well, here in iRacing today, we're going to find ourselves in just to see what can possibly come from this track. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how this goes, and I'm quite excited to see how things end. I want to welcome everybody in here to PTR TV for the Red Sox Racing League. It is race number 3 here in the Red Bull Ring. So this is going to be a fun one. I'm really excited to see how things go. And of course, as always, it is not just myself in the booth. You don't have to suffer with only my voice. Well, I also have Sagar Bakshi in the booth with me. Sagar, good evening. I think it's evening for you, maybe afternoon, but either way, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm living the dream. Thank you so much, Bradley Dalton. Thank you very much to the Red Sox Racing League for having us join you guys again for another wonderful round and another wonderful season. Things are getting pretty spicy, and I'm excited to see how these cars do around this 90-second track called the Red Bull Ring. There aren't too many 90-second GT3 tracks available to us, but this one is really just a glorified oval. And as you dictated earlier, there are so many various things that you can drive around the Red Bull Ring, from Formula One cars, TCRs, GT3 machinery, and even prototypes that show up here at the ring. So this is going to be a humdinger of a time. Track length of 2.66 miles long, or 4.3 kilometers, founded in 1969. Nice. Current layout since 2022. Located in Spielberg, Austria, in the Alps. 10 corners, 3 to the left, 7 to the right, with 313 feet of elevation change. Most of that happening going up the 12% incline towards turn 3. Remus.
Yeah, and as we hop on board here, we're going to do a quick lap here with Brian Irby. Let's get that good Whiplash Sim Cam on board in a Mustang. This just feels good to me. And as we go here around the corner, we cut the left, ride the curbs, go up the hill. Here's that elevation change into turn 3. You'll have to watch for dives to the inside, and you have to mind the sausage curb to the outside. And now it's just flat out yet again. No DRS and GT3 cars, but doggone it, don't I wish there was, because it'd be fun. So he's going to bring it down through here, Brian Irby. And now it's a downhill, tricky, deep right-hand braking zone, slightly off camber. Mind the curbs yet again. Come through, run it wide, and floor the throttle here out of turn. Technically, that's turn 5 as you go through. And now it's a sweeping double left-hander here. As you go, you're going to bring it around all the way to the inside, let the car ride out. And now you ride those curves, and then you're going to send it through. It's a late apex into this S's section. Go through, straighten it out as much as possible, keep it flat yet again. 120 miles an hour, keep it moving. 130 miles an hour, maybe a little bit more in the tank there. And then you're going to brake about 70 meters, send it through to the inside here. Mind that pit entry. It's very tricky there on the penultimate corner. Final corner, mind the sausage curb to the inside. That will kick you out wide, and that'll be track limits. Now it's all the way down the main straight, and well, that is just how quick a lap around this track can go.
Absolutely blasting through the lap guide in just 1 minute and 30 seconds flat. And it looks like Heller got a little bit of that sausage curb coming through turn 1, but managed to get a good lap in. Hiller is running. What was that last lap, if you don't mind sharing with us, Bradley Dalton?
That was a 1:31.6 is what I have, but it looks like he did get a track limit moment there, and my timing software has decided to freeze, so it's not telling me that he got the track limits, but a 1:31.6 is what I'm seeing on my side, so not ideal for him there to have, but it does happen every once in a while, and when it does, well, those track limits will really make things hard.
Yeah, and speaking of things that are hard around here, those sausage curbs really undulating the car and setting things off into oblivion, as you said, going into that final corner as well. If you do decide to touch that sausage curb coming into that final corner, that's going to send you off wide coming through the Red Bull Mobile, and will not only hurt your valid laps, it'll really compromise you heading down in towards the Niki Lauda curve. There is a long straightaway here coming down the start-finish straight, and that will really be the detriment of your next lap, and really might even cause you to lose an additional lap after all things are said and done.
Yeah, indeed. And as we see Brian Irby coming in here, his lap setting through. Not much time left here in qualifying as we get our timing software back up and rolling. That way we can really see what's going on here in qualifying, because there are still several cars out on track. No offense to Brian Irby, but sometimes you don't just want to ride on board with the Mustang, although I could listen to this car quite literally all day if I needed to. They are very, very nice here as we get things sort of underway. Some updates have happened in the back end, and of course iRacing had a big update that I say big, a medium-sized update that released today that kind of possibly caused a little bit of chaos. You got to remember, whenever there is an update, you just have to sort of watch what happens with it here. We follow Les Turner around, trying to put in some laps and find some final times for him. If he can find a little bit more to give here, well, it looks like about 2.5 minutes left to go here, Sauger. He's got a pretty good run on it at the moment.
Les Turner's been one to pull together a last lap hoedown really easily over the last couple of races, and excited to see what he's able to produce when he gets to the line. But right now it's Mitch Heller, Brent Cook, Mark Kudrowski, Tommy Ryan, David Fernandez, Mark Wilson, Dennis Griffin, and Les Turner pulling over and letting some cars pass. So probably going for that very last lap battle that we saw him do 2 races ago.
Yeah, and you can see a little bit of gravel kicked up there as we jump on board with Mitch Heller to follow him through the final little bit of his lap as he is coming around. And, well, it looks like for him, he's got everything nice and smooth and under control. Currently, the lap times are looking fairly good. 1:30.3 there for Mitch Heller holding the pole time, and he comes in 1:30.2. He brings it just a little bit faster, and that one does count. No track limits to be found there, so he is just continuing to run the time up as, his face is now stuck on the screen. Not sure what happened there. Well, okay, well, don't know what's happening there.
That's Dwayne McCarthy's face now, illuminating our screen. Dwayne McCarthy driving that Buc-ee's car that you love so much. I still have yet to find a Buc-ee's here in California, but next time I head out to the East Coast, I'll definitely go ahead and find one. The Red Bull Ring was initially built in 1969. It was called the Osterring, the Austria Circuit, and it hosted its first Formula One race in 1970. In 1997, the track was reconfigured into a shorter layout, then called the A1 Ring, named after its sponsor. A1, like the steak sauce, I'm sure. After a period of dormancy, Red Bull purchased the track in 2004, revamped it extensively, and reopened it in 2011 under its current name, the Red Bull Ring. And the Red Bull Ring is one of the shortest tracks in Formula One currently. And like we talked about the elevation changes, the current F1 lap record of 1 minute, 2 seconds, 9:39 is held by Carlos Sainz in a 2020 McLaren.
That 2020 McLaren was a mean car too, so it's no surprise there. Although I would love it if like a Red Bull held that time, around the Red Bull Ring, but I'm not going to be too picky here. With things said, who am I kidding? I could be pretty picky when it comes to just how that goes. Kind of watching on this final run and how things are going. Fastest laps, again, 132 for Mitch Heller. Tommy Ryan with a 130.5. Everybody's still fairly competitive here in the times as they go. Qualifying is officially done here. We are just waiting on cars to find their way around on their final laps and park. Sagar, what's your prediction for this week? Who are we thinking is going to win? Who are we thinking is going to take this one through? And who do we think is going to be heartbroken?
I like Tommy Ryan right now in that 18. We've seen him do really great things previously, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a jump on Mitch Heller. We all know qualifying time is one thing, but race pace is a whole other ball game. So I'm putting money on Tommy Ryan right now. With a time to beat of a 130.288, he's not too far off the mark.
He's not doing bad at all, I would agree. As he tries to go through, I mean, we just, he comes into the pits. We say it every week, though, Sagar. Race pace, is really where things come in. You can qualify and, do what you can, but race pace is really what makes it count here. So I think he's got a pretty good little run up as things go, and we'll see what he brings together. As Les just goes straight through. Les is going to be finishing his lap. Mark Wilson is in. Marion Pietri is in. Kevin Kyle is stationary. Brian Irby is stationary. Robert Cancian, Bill Palucki, Nathan Lafayette, Mark Agee. All cars are through and done with their laps. We are currently just waiting on the session to switch over.
And one of the things I would like to point out, too, is the drivers that are in here practicing their pit stops now during this qualifying session, I think are the ones that are going to save the most amount of time during the race heat also. They do a good job of practicing during their practice session, but I think the drivers that get this one extra stop in during their qualifying session rather than just warping to pits, calling it done and dusted, and then going back out and setting another qualifying lap are just showing that they're super confident with knowing where that pit entry line is, how much they need to slow down, because we've seen the championship be made and broken with pit stop cycles.
Yeah, pit stop cycles. Again, if this is your first time watching the Red Sox Racing League, it's 40% fuel load, which forces a pit stop in these GT3 cars. And that can really, really mess with some drivers as they go through. Qualifying has ended. We are going to the grid. And well, here is my question on the day. Who is going to bring this thing home and who is not going to enjoy? Let's run through your PTR TV starting lineup here as it goes. And it's Mitch Heller in first place with Tommy Ryan in P2. From there, we're going third place, Brent Cook, Mark Kudrowski in fourth place. Then we're going to go fifth place, Les Turner, sixth place, David Fernandez. And then from there, we're going P7, Mark Wilson, Dennis Griffin, P8, Todd Marion Pietri in ninth, and Dwayne McCarthy in P10. From there, it's Kevin Kyle and Jim Graziano, P11 and P12 respectively. And then we're going P13, Brian Irby, Robert Cancian in 14th, Mark Berry and Nathan Lafayette 15th and 16th, Bill Palucki, Jeff Ryan, and then Mark Agee and Mark Allen, the 20 cars that are going to be taking on this race.
Excellent to see all the drivers that are still showing up for race 3 of the Red Sox Racing League, and it looks like the grid is set and we'll just get rolling away in a few moments time. And look at that wonderful grid of liveries to showcase also. That is a brightly colored grid with every driver picking their own unique flair, style, and livery.
Yeah, I absolutely love it to see all of the different liveries that drivers do here. Let's see if we can get a better sideways picture. There we go. That's a little bit better. Mitch Heller, Brent Cook. Again, the Amsoil Corvette of Tommy Ryan. Actually, no, that's way out of order. That is Brent Cook that is in the Amsoil McLaren. You have the Mustang-looking Mustang back in the background. And then, of course, you do have coming through Dennis Griffin, who will bring his Acura around. Akira, if you are of the British variety. Jim Graziano, of course, in that Porsche that he so loves and runs. Robert Cancian in a very good looking car. Mark Berry in a monster themed McLaren, which I kind of like here to see. I'm not going to lie. That's a pretty good run here. Cars will come around the final corner here, and pace car will pull off the safety cars through, and it is Mitch Heller who has the controlling run. How does he take off on this final start here through turn 10? Well, it's up to him when he goes, and it looks like he has decided to go. Done and dusted. You see Barney on the left-hand flag with the green flag, and we are going to be underway here, showing about 20 laps of action expected in this 30-minute race. Let's see how they get on the race start here as they go through, wiggling around. Left turn, deep on the brakes, is going to get into David Fernandez, but it is Mitch Heller who holds the race lead here on the exit of turn 1.
A little bit uncharacteristic to see a lap 1, turn 1 incident, even though it was a small touch in the rumpus there. It looked good from Les Turner. Now he is battling it out with, I believe that'll be Kodrowski next to him. Yes, in that Audi. And they're going side by side up the hill through Remus, and now it'll be that Audi who's got the overspeed coming down the main straightaway towards Schlossgold. 2x2 is the formation of the day for now.
Yeah, and further back here, Todd Marion Pietri really feeling the pressure there from Dwayne McCarthy to the outside, but you see the difference that you can make there through the corner. All of these corners, you can take slightly different lines, do things slightly different, and that's really where things go and where they come out. But now we will filter into a single file layout. Mitch Heller in the race lead here. Second place, Tommy Ryan, Brent Cook in third, David Fernandez in P4. Still watching here to see where the battles show up. Mark Kodrowski still putting a bit of pressure in on Les Turner, trying to find a pass. Marion Pietri, Dennis Griffith, Dwayne McCarthy all going through it. Single file down, but look at that. Deep on the brakes with Dennis Griffith. Tom Marion Pietri had a bit more speed there through turn 9, and now we go through turn 10. Single file again, up the hill towards turn 1, and this is really where drivers will start to open it up. And Sagar, this is where I think we'll really start seeing some action come in.
Absolutely true. This is basically a glorified oval. We're seeing a lot of right-hand turns, 7 to the right and 3 to the left total for this 10-turn racetrack. I would say Monza may be the temple of speed, but Red Bull Ring is actually one of the faster tracks that we'll see on any calendar for that very reason, where it's basically just this oval layout of just going through flat out, not a whole lot of deep braking zones, unless you're talking about turn 3, turn 4, and that's really about it. Everything else, you're carrying so much speed through these corners, it's hard to really get an overtake done. Turn 1 as well is where we'll see a lot of overtakes done. Right there, you see that Porsche dipping its wheel off into the gravel just a little bit. We've seen a lot of Formula 1 cars doing the same things, especially in some side-by-side battles going through Schlossgold.
Yeah, and that side-by-side battling is just going to continue on lap after lap, time after time here, and I really enjoy it. You got to mind the gravel a little bit here as we see drivers getting a little bit swirly through going around here. It looks like some drivers have had a bit of a moment here early on. Kevin Kyle, Dwayne McCarthy battling it out. Kevin Kyle to the inside there in the purple and black McLaren 720S with a very clean pass goes through, but Dwayne McCarthy is going to try to fight him back. Side by side out of the final quarter they go, and now it's the run up into turn 1, deep on the brakes. They are going to go, and it is Dwayne who will have the inside on Kevin Kyle. Kevin Kyle backs out of that and lives to fight another day.
That was a hard-fought battle coming out of turn 10 and all the way dragging it in towards turn 1. But don't get too mixed up. The 199 of Robert Cansian's trying to get involved in this two-way battle, turn it into a little menage a trois action, but backs out of it up the hill towards Remus. Wants to let the two drivers in front keep on battling it out, and we're going to see some Porsche on Porsche violence here very shortly.
Yeah, Porsche on Porsche violence is, it's never really the best thing to watch, but it is something that, when it does happen, it really does happen. And it's really ugly every once in a while because just they're so tough to drive, but they're so much fun. Still keeping an eye on this battle back here in the back for P10 with Dwayne McCarthy, the Bucky's car, really kind of being the beaver building the dam for the cars behind. I had to make the Bucky's pun here tonight as we go, keeping things moving and grooving. Check it back in up front though. Mitch Heller's still in the lead. This is Tommy Ryan in P2, 0.6 of a second back. David Fernandez there in fourth. 4/10 of a second back from there as they go through again in that Princess Cruise Line sponsored Porsche. I believe that is Porsche Club of America's official sponsor. So David Fernandez, the PCA driver, showing up here for Red Sox, having a bit of fun here on a Thursday night. Mark Kudrowski as well, really holding on here in the Audi, finding his way through, keeping Les Turner at bay as much as possible. You've got those little pockets that have shown up here, Saturday, of drivers trying to put pressure on, trying to keep things single file, and they're just separated by little, by tenths of a second here and there. It's just, it feels like at this point it's the case of who's going to blink first.
Very true. It'll be a case of who decides to come down pit lane first, and we'll see if the undercut or if the overcut is the stronger of the two. We've seen the overcut work to people's advantage as long as possible, for time can tell, here at the Red Sox Racing League, and broadcasted by PTR TV. But of course, it'll be up to the drivers to really dictate their pace and their momentum. That is a beautiful looking livery. The Minnesota Twins logo on the side of that car. I used to play for the Twins when I was in Little League. Sidebar there. But no, this is going to be a very exciting race. There are single file line for now going around this glorified oval track, but they are doing a good job of staying within touching distance. I'm keeping an eye on the timing tower as well. And it looks like most of the drivers are right where they're supposed to be, except for Kevin Kyle and Dwayne McCarthy inverting their positions there, as I was just about to say. That Dwayne McCarthy car, gets taken out coming through turn 9. And that'll be Bucky's boy spun out and trying to collect himself as we get a PTR TV race recap.
Yeah, and as we go here, replay, look at this. He's up the inside. He's going through, and the back end just snaps there, carrying a little bit too much pressure. Not the best line. A little bit too much speed. Not the best line. And then, well, he spun through. Absolutely nothing he could do in that moment going around. And, yeah, that is all she wrote. We'll go back to live images now on the night as we look, and now he is all the way back in P19. He's now trying to put pressure on Mark AG, so we'll see what he does here. Tommy Ryan up into second place with Brent Cook hot on his heels coming around, and let's see if Brent Cook can find the pace to get this pass done following through this midfield section.
Yeah, this is going to be the corner through Worth, and on our way to Rint next, the fast right-hander of the turn number 9. But yes, it looks like this car is losing a little bit of speed and momentum coming through the twisty bit of the track. And on our way down the hill, you can see it's closing down the gap just a little bit, maybe using a little bit more track limits than it could bargain for. But oh man, it's so hard. The margins are so tight here at the Red Sox Racing League. Everybody's just within spitting distance of each other. It's absolutely phenomenal. This race might turn into just a battle of the mistakes overall. And speaking of mistakes, there is one from Tommy Ryan going a little bit wide at the exit of the Niki Lauda curves and touching that sausage and slowing him down a little bit. But it doesn't look like Brent Cook has been able to take too much advantage of that or close down the gap. It's about 0.4 of a second. There it is coming into turn 3. That really shows you how much he was able to gain. Wow.
It's amazing to really see how one little moment around this 2-mile, minute-and-a-half lap track makes such a difference through. I'm going to jump back here. Les Turner, Mark Wilson, because Mark Wilson is continuing to try to put pressure in on Les as they come around down the hill and through, and just a few tenths separating them. But again, I always say this, Sauger, it's one thing to catch, it's another to pass. But Mitch Heller, I mean, just running the show here tonight. 2.3 seconds in the lead. Again, though, Tommy Ryan holding off here through behind, just 6-7 tenths separating each. Around a little bit of gravel there for David Fernandez, but really this battle right here, Les Turner and Mark Wilson, currently the closest battle on track.
And they're doing pretty much identical laps, 132.014 to 132.042 between the two drivers. Les Turner has got a little bit of pace ahead of Mark Wilson, but Wilson's getting dragged along right now, even though he is about 0.2 slower on that fastest lap. Les Turner showing him how to get it done, and in towards turn 1. Will it be a move? Not on this occasion. Not here at the Red Sox Racing League. no late breaking lunges, and no way too far back showing. It's amazing how much confidence and respect they have for each other here at the league. It's really amazing that they're not going for anything egregious. This may be a 30-minute sprint race, but really they're not going for anything cheeky.
Absolutely. 10 minutes into this 30-minute race as we continue along here. Dennis Griffin, Mark Wilson still continuing to battle with Les Turner. They want to try to find some sort of a way to pass. And I want to jump back here. Kevin Kyle, Jim Graziano are now battling it out as well. And Bill Paul Lucky might be feeling lucky here, trying to get around Mark Berry as quickly as possible. It's McLaren versus McLaren. This is a battle for P15. See how they fare. But I do also want to look back up front. There's so many battles everywhere, Sagar. I mean, I can basically just click somewhere on the timing screen, pull up a driver to watch, and, well, there's a gap going on there as it stands. So right now, this is still Tommy Ryan that we're watching have the battle as he goes behind him, and that was somebody peeling into the pits just behind. I don't know who that was, though. I'm trying to get an idea if that was somebody in the pits, who that might have been, and that was Brent Cook making a very early dive.
Really early dive to come in at the 10-minute mark. Makes me wonder if he'll have enough fuel to make it to the very end of this race. Of course, just running that 40% fuel load capacity that the drivers are all stuck with. Normally we see drivers go for at least the 50% race distance mark before they decide to come in right around that 15-minute mark. But that was a very quick pit stop for Brent Cook in that 367 car Amsoil machine. But now, where is he going to come out according to lap traffic? Will this undercut work out in his favor or not, with all of these other cars that he's going to have to contend with in front of him that may be going quite a bit slower?
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to really see how he plays that out. Ahead of him, Mark Berry, Bill Pawlucki. This is not what he wanted here coming in through turn 3. You really don't want to see that run out if you are coming down and through, trying to find a pass. You feel like you're a fast driver. Well, Bill Pawlucki currently now battling with Brent Cook. Brent Cook up the inside. This is McLaren versus McLaren versus McLaren, and the McLaren, no surprise, it's going to get ahead of the McLaren. Brent Cook ahead of Bill Pawlucki, respectively. Respectively, the only driver that has pit so far.
And that's a good move. He was able to get that done pretty quickly coming through turn 4. And now we're coming through, this will be Roush and Worth. And excuse my mispronunciation. I don't know German or whatever native language we're speaking in the Alps here. In Austria. Austrian? Is it Austrian, Brad?
Yeah. It's Austria.
Gracious.
There might be a little bit of Hungarian in here as well. I'd have to double check myself. Again, my favorite track, but I think Andre said it best last night. We're just simple Americans. Pronunciation is not our favorite thing.
No, for such a complex language that English is too, we do a good job of butchering everybody else's very simplistic languages around the world. But back to the racing, enough about geography or languageology. I'm sure there's a word for it. I don't have it. But more back to the action. The 09 right now leads the car behind it, which will be that, oh God, goodness gracious, the Minnesota Twins car. God, that's the word I was looking for. My tongue is turned into garbage tonight. I apologize. Mark Kudrowski driving that 944. Thank you very much for that, Bradley. You are the best director I could ever ask for, by the way.
I'm slowly learning how to be a director here. Every once in a while, you got to remember just to flash the driver name for the benefit of all. I'm learning. I never claimed to be great at this thing, though. This is definitely not my primary skill set on the night as things go, but we're halfway race distance here, and as it stands, pretty much everyone is right where they started, surprisingly enough. Nobody's had anything crazy going on. Really, the big differences that I see is Mitch Heller, Tommy Ryan, David Fernandez, Mark Kudrowski here in 4th, Les Turner into 5th place with Mark Wilson hot on his heels. From there, you go Dennis Griffin, Todd Marion-Pietri, Kevin Kyle, and Jim Graziano here. Robert Cancian further behind, Brian Irby going, Nathan Lafayette bringing it up the main straight, and then a few more seconds back is Brent Cook, who has pit. Mark Berry a bit further back, going side by side with Dwayne McCarthy. These two cannot stay away from each other. And then, of course, behind that is Mark Agee, Jeff Ryan, and Bill Pawlucki in last place. And what do you know? Dwayne McCarthy finds the Bucky, gets the Beaver Nuggets, and finds P15 here on the night.
A pretty good recovery drive out of Dwayne McCarthy, coming out of P last and working his way through the grid right now. It shows you how much pace that Bucky's car really had. That 003 machinery is going pretty rapidly around here, and that's pretty surprising because we didn't see him perform all that well in the qualifying session, but he's passing everybody like they are standing still. That's a couple of moves made to get up into, that'll be P15 for Dwayne McCarthy, so he's passed 5 on pace alone now.
Yeah, and that's a huge accomplishment from him there to get those passes done. As we hop on board with Mark Kudrowski here in the 944, who is coming through the final corner, still trying to chase down David Fernandez as much as possible, trying to find the time, trying to find the pace here, and just trying to find the opportunity to get the pass done here. It's very, very difficult. I'm not sure what may be happening. He's certainly trying it, so he's doing a good job with it, though, I will say, as he brings it across the line. Slowly gaining time, just not close enough yet. Possibly thinking about a dive there into turn 3, but does not do it yet. So he opts to hold on to that single file lane, and we will just keep second verse, same as the first, as they go along. Brian Irby into the pits here, now out. Mark Berry into the pits as well.
Dive bomb here at Red Sox Racing League, that would be completely unheard of. I have yet to see any egregious dive bombs be made, and I doubt it'll be the first time I see it tonight for sure. These drivers have so much respect for each other, and their skill and craft for this racing league just really shines high. Just the absolute masterclass of racing that is out here is phenomenal. These guys have been racing together for a couple of seasons now. They get to know each other. They get pretty competitive, but I don't see anything argy-bargy or anything messy about the way these guys drive, and they do a great job of keeping it between the mayo and the mustard, as always, as my good friend Mike Noss would say, the mayo and the mustard. But now back to this racing action that we have. The Porsche on Porsche violence has not come a thing yet. We have the purple McLaren leading right now. That should be the 9th place car of Kevin Kyle, driving the number 65, leading Jim Graziano and Robert Kansian, driving that Golf car. Oh, that 34 is going to make a look towards the inside line, going towards turn 1. Look, but don't touch, and going over the sausage curbs just a little bit there. And now that'll be the 199 of Robert Kansian, just trying to get involved in this mix-up right now and taking advantage of that move that just didn't go the way of the 34.
Yeah, trying to find the move there, doing the best he can, and again, just unfortunately not able to land that move all the way through. Now, for some reason, the ticker on the side has decided to show everyone's positions, even though it didn't before. That old classic turn it off and back on thing, I'm continuing to find out week after week that does truly work in more ways than I can explain here. As we hop and we follow along, Graziano, Kansian still battling it out for P10 as they go. Les Turner still holding off Mark Wilson by about half a second, and David Fernandez holding off Mark Kudrowski by about half a second here as they go through. I mean, he's certainly given it the whole college try. Is Mark Kudrowski, but just not able to find a pass yet as they go. Robert Kansian still with a good run as well as they come through down into the penultimate corner of this track. And now look around, and well, both of them are actually just going to fake me out here from the camera shot I was setting up, and they're both going to just dive it into the pits.
And both of them performing the same strategy at the same time. So if you thought this battle was going to go anywhere anytime soon, think again. Graziano and Robert Kansian will come out of pit lane, nose to tail, and single file line. Was that a backup there? Was he moved during his pit stop cycle? Oh man, that's really going to hurt his cause. And yes, the 199 was backed up a little bit, and you can see the gap has formed a little bit wider right now as we hit the green cones and head out of pit lane towards turn 1. It's still the 34 leading the 199 of Kansian, but they're a little bit farther apart than I think the 199 of Robert Kansian would like to have been.
Yeah, it's not ideal there, but is something that he's just going to have to kind of work through. And work out where he can as we go through the race along for the final few minutes. He's just less than a second back now, and will continue to find his time forward. David Fernandez, Mark Kudrowski, still 0.4 of a second separate these two, and 5 seconds up the road from Tommy Ryan in second is this driver right here, Mitch Heller, who has just decided to absolutely dominate this field here today in ways that Mitch Heller only can. More drivers into the pits now, I fear, as Mark Wilson is in, Les Turner is in, Mark Kudrowski is in, it appears. Who else is into the pits here that we see? Mark Kudrowski, Les Turner. Behind that is going to be Dennis Griffin as well coming into the pits. So more drivers cycling through their pit stops, but of course we are under 10 minutes to go, so it does not surprise me to see as many cars in as there currently is.
Get this. I've got a little bit of pit stop data for you. Call me your Shea Adams. Pit stop time, 8.13 for Graziano, 7.5 for Robert Kansian, although the pit lane time, 26.5 to 27.2. So although Kansian was faster in that pit stop cycle, he loses a lot of time here. And there goes Brent Cook making his way downtown. He's walking fast, faces past. He is homebound, and he's got the move collected.
I had to do it. Anyways, good move there from Brent Cook for Nathan Lafayette. I will never do that again. I promise nothing, actually. We'll find out what happens in this broadcast or any of the other ones here on PTR TV. Kevin Kyle currently up in 6th place, 1.3 seconds back from Marion Pietri. Marion Pietri there just on the bottom side of your screen as they continue to pressure Brent Cook going through and around, and Les Turner here behind, under pressure by Dwayne McCarthy, the Bucky's Beaver, finding things through, and our race leader is into the pits. Mitch Heller into the pits here. Let's see how his pit stop goes. Will he have that magical 7-second pit stop that we're expecting? Well, let's see. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Is he just making this interesting for himself? What is happening?
No way. What is going on to Mitch Heller? This is an egregiously long pit stop time for him to just here to be stopped like this for. But stop the count, stop the count. Tommy Ryan is in the lead of the race. I'm not crying. I'm not crying. You're the one who's crying right now. The number 18 is taking the lead of the race. Still has to take his mandatory, though, as well as, well, no, Brett Cook has taken his pit stop, although it's showing that he has not. So Brett Cook into P2, Tommy Ryan into P1. That was a 50-second pit stop for Mitch Heller. No idea what happened there. That is crazy.
Todd Marion Pietri is on an equally long pit stop right now. Surely they don't have track limits. I didn't see anything about track limits. What is happening?
That is absolutely insane. Another 50-second pit stop for Todd Marion Pietri right now, driving the 808 Porsche. That is not looking good on their cars for sure. And just what is going on right now? Mitch Heller down into 14th place right now, driving the 303. This will promote a lot of drivers further forward up the grid than they possibly thought that they deserve. But, you know, I don't know, battle of mistakes here at the Red Bull Ring. Maybe it was track limits that caught some of these drivers off guard. And speaking of off guard, that is the number 5 getting spun around the long way. Jeff Ryan just getting over the sausage curve, lighting up one side of those tires, getting grippy there, and then just getting yeeted into oblivion. That was a beautiful pirouette, though.
Tommy Ryan in the stop for 7.2. He will be out clean and away, but everyone will be scratching their heads what happened to Mitch Heller. And one thing, I don't know if you caught this, Sauger, but I know that I did, was that whenever, it seemed like whenever about that 8-9 second mark hit for Mitch Heller, it sounded like he floored the throttle. So I have a wonder if he didn't miscue his pit stop for a full tank of fuel instead of just what he needed to get to the end.
Oh, no way. Taking a full 40% fuel load rather than exactly what he needed to get to the end could make a lot of sense. That could explain the very long pit stop. Or perhaps he also decided to take tires accidentally. And this is what we talked about earlier on in the broadcast, was practicing your pit stop entries, practicing your pit stop strategy, and making sure that that was all dialed in. Brent Cook in the lead of this race. That masterclass undercut really worked out in his favor, despite us seeing him chop it up through back markers early on in the race.
Indeed, it's that's going to be the head scratcher of the day. I really want to know what happened there with that 303, why it's kind of ended up where it's at. Mark Kedrowski, though, isn't going to be complaining. Mark Kedrowski currently setting P3, running through. Les Turner is 4.2 seconds back from Mark, so he's going to be feeling really good about his position here, and he's got some pressure to give on David Fernandez. 5 minutes left to go in this race as we watch them go through. Jim Graziano currently under pressure by Kevin Kyle and Robert Cancian as they go through. They have flip-flopped some positions after the pit stop cycle. Graziano ahead of Kyle ahead of Cancian. Originally it was Graziano and Cancian that were together there. It was Porsche on Porsche violence that we were waiting on. And as they run through, they continue around here. 4.5 minutes left to go. Just about 3 laps to go here on track, and still plenty of action to be sorted out. Mark Berry, Mark Agee. Look at this. They are side by side, the McLaren and the Acura, into the penultimate corner.
Really good battles all around the track. It's back to where we started this race, where basically you could pick a car, any car, and you'll find a half-second gap or less around the racetrack. Like you said, looking at David Fernandez, Mark Kedrowski, half a second there. Looking at Dennis Griffin, Tommy Ryan, half a second there. Graziano, Kyle, Robert Cancian, 1 second between the 3 drivers. Brian Irby under a second to Nathan Lafayette, and Dwayne McCarthy and Mitch Heller, 4:10 separating the 303 from the 003 right now.
So many good battles coming up here. It's genuinely hard right now to decide what to look at and what the best battle is to watch. Tommy Ryan here really putting some pressure on Dennis Griffin, trying to find that final pass where he can. Robert Cancian getting the pass done on Kevin Kyle here into the final corner, double downhill braking, gets this pass done, and now down the main straight will try to run away with it. He wants to try to catch up to Jim Graziano if possible, but with 3 minutes to go and 2 seconds to find, it's going to be easier said than done.
Absolutely. And we all know catching is one thing, passing is a completely different ball game. I think that'll really be the detriment of the 199. He might be able to catch, but passing Graziano will be the hardest thing to do because he hasn't been able to make it work for the past 27 minutes. And we've just got 3 minutes left on the clock, and he's still got to defend back from the 65 of Kevin Kyle. How many battles do we have on track? More than I can keep track of on my fingers and toes. Nathan Lafayette. Here's Mitch Heller and Wayne McCarthy, though. I was just about to beckon and call these boys to front and center. Dwayne McCarthy gets passed by Mitch Heller on that recovery drive, but there goes the Bucky's car trying to snap right back up the inside, run towards turn 4. This might end in tears for fears, my boys and girls, drivers and race fans, but will it be a late breaking lunge for the Bucky's car? No, it won't be. Not any egregious moves here, not on our watch at PTR TV, not with the Red Sox Racing League crowd.
Yeah, Red Sox Racing League, always, they're going to go for the moves they know will stick. There's no last second, gutless lunges that come in. They go for what they know they can make stick. And if it's not a more than 50% chance of happening, they don't go for it, which is something that I really respect because I have seen drivers that would go for that move, and it would be ugly. Ask every F1 AI that I've ever raced around the Red Bull Ring. I'm a menace around this track because I will send it into braking zones a la carte Max Verstappen style. That is just what I do. It's how I do it, and also their AI. I don't race online in the F1 games because it's a mess. But that's neither here nor there. This is iRacing, and well, iRacing comes with its own challenges. Tommy Ryan currently putting a challenge on Dennis Griffin ahead in the Acura, and then Mark Wilson and Les Turner still battling it out with just a minute left to go. Currently the gap between them just about 0.4 of a second. Kevin Kyle has dropped out of the session here. I don't know what's happened to Kevin Kyle. We will queue up a replay here and see if we can find it. So this is the replay I have. What has happened here? Kevin runs it wide. This is him getting past. I don't see anything actually getting my attention, so I don't think there's anything to worry about there, but he is out of the session. But with Only 45 seconds left to go. Barney has the white flag, so we will send Brent Cook one more lap around the Red Bull Ring while we watch these final battles behind get decided, like Mark Wilson and Les Turner side by side down the main straight they go here, Sauger.
Absolutely good last lap battle here. There goes Wilson looking at Les Turner like a tasty morsel. Coming in towards turn one, Les Turner opens the door, allows Wilson to come back through. That 323 is looking big, hefty, and mighty. That Ford Mustang is charging down the Red Bull Ring, up the hill towards Remus we go, and has just gapped Les Turner from behind. The Batmobile cannot push out any more steam than what it's already giving, and this is going to be an epic last lap battle for Les Turner to try to hold on to the top 5 and hopefully get top 4.
Yeah, he's certainly going to be trying for it, and while he's trying for that, ahead, Brent Cook heading through the infield section of the track here, trying to find his final laps in through 2 of our 3 left-handers here on the track. And back behind, Brian Irby putting pressure on Nathan Lafayette, ramps the sausage curb, hits a little bit of grass, wiggles the Mustang, and I believe that Brian Irby will have a hard time from here. But nevertheless, Brent Cook has completed 20 laps of the Red Bull Ring, and in a race that we really thought was Mitch Heller's to lose, well, Mitch Heller did just that. He lost the run here, whether it's a pit stop error, whatever it might be, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, it is going to be Brent Cook bringing home the win here in Red Sox Racing League, and will bring the victory in. David Fernandez in P2, Mark Kudrowski in P3, and then behind them they continue through. I want to jump back here to the 00 in P10 because he's got 0.3 of a second separating him and Brian Irby. Brian Irby was right on his rear bumper, but they'll come around the final corner, and the last place in the top 10, it appears, if he survives the final 2 corners, will be held by Nathan Lafayette. No drama in the final corners, and he will have that one done and dusted.
Amazing race here, brought to you by PTR TV and the Red Sox Racing League. Thank you very much, everybody, for sticking around to the bitter end. This is Mitch Heller in that 303, who started first, ran all the way down to 12th. Want to give a quick update about what happened to Tommy Ryan. It was a very long pit stop, 31.3 second transient coming down pit road. Just for comparison, a lot of the other drivers were running down to 26 seconds. So that's how he fell all the way back down to P7. My top pick for this race, and he just did not have the mark there.
Not ideal here as we wait for our final cars to come across the track. Mark Berry, Mark Agee, Jeff Ryan. Actually, it looks like just got DQ'd from the session for track limits, unfortunately. So that is Mark Agee coming across the line, and we will get our final results pulled up here on the night. It is going to be Brent Cook in the lead and the win by 1.8 seconds over David Fernandez. Mark Kudrowski in P3. Mark Wilson in 4th place. Les Turner will find P5, 0.6 of a second back. Dennis Griffin in P6. Tommy Ryan in P7. Jim Graziano finds 8th place in the Porsche. 9th place, Robert Kansian. And Nathan Lafayette able to find P10. From there, 11th place, Brian Irby. Mitch Heller in P12. Dwayne McCarthy in 13th. Bill Pawlucky in P14. 15th was Todd Mary and Pietri. Mark Berry in 16th. Mark Agee in 17th, Jeff Ryan in 18th, Kevin Kyle in 19th, 2 laps down, and Mark Allen 20 laps down on the night, finding last place. Man, Sauger, this is always such good racing. I absolutely enjoy it. Sauger, I'm going to let you interview our race winner, Brent Cook. Brent had a great race. Let's see how he's feeling.
Brent Cook, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Well, I'm living the dream, not on top of the world as you must be feeling right now with a grand victory here at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this for sure.
That was going to be my first question out of my mouth was, coming from third all the way up first, did you feel like you had the pace in you, or what did you think that you needed coming into this race?
Honestly, I didn't think I was going to catch I don't know these guys' names very well. Just Jeff Ryan. Was he the one in first place?
Tommy Ryan was second place. And we're looking for the three of Heller who was in first place.
Yeah, Mitch just found that a penalty in his pit. He clipped the thing and had a 47 penalty or something like that in his pit stop.
Oh, wow.
I have no idea what happened to Tommy. I pitted early because I knew I was faster than Tommy, but being faster don't mean you around him. So I was hoping by pitting early, I could at least get second place. And then the next thing I know, my pit stop cycles, I was in the first place. I'm like, how this happened?
Crazy, and we thought you were crazy here in the podcast for pitting so early. I think you must have hit it at like the 19-minute mark or something. At any point, were you concerned about your fuel strategy, your fuel loads, your tire wear, anything that was going through your mind, or was that kind of a Hail Mary play throughout there?
Honestly, right before I was watching my fuel, and right as I entered turn 9, it dropped to the exact amount I needed to pit. So instead of going on, I just downshifted another gear and darted into the pits and hoped for the best.
Wow. And how much fuel did you end up leaving the race with? Were you able to make it around that one extra bonus lap, or were you cutting it pretty close there at the end?
No, I couldn't make it around. And when the race was over, I had 0.3 gallons left.
You literally timed that perfectly then. You had the exact amount of fuel that you needed to get to the end.
I was actually worried because about 2 laps before the end, my fuel calculator went to negative, and I was like, uh-oh. So I started fuel saving, and then that's when you'll have to forgive me. I don't know all their names. I'm pretty new to this, but the guy that was behind me in the Porsche.
Yeah, David Fernandez in the 09. Yep.
Yeah, I started fuel saving, so he started coming back up, but then once he got within a second of me, I was like, well, the heck with fuel saving. I've got to go. But it worked out right before the end of the race. It clicked over to positive, finished the race, and looked up, and I'm like, well, I'm not even going to make it back around to the pits. I'm out.
Man, what a heck of a run for you, Brent Cook. What a roller coaster of emotions. Thank you very much for walking us through basically your thought process and what was going on. The one thing I do want to ask before we do let you go is practicing your pit stop entry. Is that something that you do on a regular basis, something you do occasionally? What's the thought process there?
I typically like to do it several times during practice, and it just that pit's got a rhythm to it. If you know, because it's blind, you come over a hill and it's blind, but if you know which way you're going, you just downshift a gear and then hammer the throttle again and hope that you don't hit the wall.
Yeah, it's like pitting at Road Atlanta for those of you that are familiar. You come across the hill, the crest, and all of a sudden there's a pit line there that you can cross when you're on the racing line. But if you're headed down pit road, you better just pray that you're not going to clatter into the wall if you're on the wrong one. So, no,
yeah, you have to trust that you can just keep turning right out of turn 9 and you'll be on pit road.
That's exactly how it is coming out of Road Atlanta as well. And just praying to God that you can just keep on turning right, hook the car in, and keep on the accelerator for as much as possible. It's very important that you guys practice that here.
So, but yeah, it turned out good. Like I said, I was not going to beat Mitch. It's a shame he got a speeding penalty, but like I said, the whole pitting early thing was just to try to get second place. But it is what it is.
Sometimes that's the way of the road. Sometimes she goes, and sometimes she don't. Right.
Right. That's right.
So congratulations, Brent Cook. Thank you very much for joining us in the broadcast booth. Really appreciate it. Anybody that you want to thank before we let you go?
Nah, just thank you guys for announcing the races for us, man. And like I said, thanks to the Red Sox League for letting me race with them. It's fun. So
appreciate
a good time.
You, Brent Cook.
Good
Absolutely
bunch of guys.
is. Great time on both sides of the microphone, I'm sure.
So.
Have a great night, brother, and be safe as always.
All right, you guys have a good night.
You too, brother. Any other interviews, Bradley Dalton?
Does not appear so, Sagar. I think that is going to be our night done and dusted here at the Red Bull Ring. It's a lot of fun, man. They always show up and show out here in Red Sox. So I was so happy to be able to bring this one to screen. And I can't wait for next week, man.
Looking forward to it. Thank you very much, everybody, for sticking around. Thank you very much for enjoying the stream. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, all those things that you're supposed to do for us. Really appreciate it, and we'll catch you guys next week.